Happy Tuesday, everyone. Today is March 31st, and we are going to do day two of our Texas Independence Notes from our note packet that I gave you guys on Friday. If you were not here on that Friday, that was the last day that we were in the school building. I put a PDF version of these notes online so you can follow along. If you're not able to print them, just kind of go ahead and take notes on like a separate piece of paper or whatever you need to do. I will put these answer keys on eventually, but also just know that the all the slides for these notes are in these videos as well. So you can also just kind of follow along with that later if you like or if I go too fast. For today, just go ahead and answer the bell ringer and the exit ticket. We're going to do day two of these notes. We'll finish them up tomorrow on Wednesday. And then also the Independence for Texas homework is due on Friday. So keep up the great work. You guys are still doing amazing answering the bell ringer and exit ticket. I very much appreciate it. And today we are going to focus on the significance of the Alamo and what that led to with Texas as an independent state. So, going ahead to get started, we are on page 2 at the bottom for letter C on the notes. Remember the Alamo. The Alamo was a Spanish mission built in the mid 1700s. So, if you think about what a mission is, that's usually like a missionary is somebody that is spreading the word of religion, usually Christianity or the belief in God or Jesus Christ. So this mission was created with a religious purpose. But with missionaries, sometimes there would be multiple people that had traveled away from their homes to spread this word of God, and they would obviously live on these sites for an extended period of time. So it was a pretty big plot of land. From far away, it kind of looks like a large mansion, which is what the Mexican army under Santa Anna thought that it was. So, kind of like a large mansion. It was surrounded by 12 feet high bricks and 5 feet thick walls. So, pretty high and pretty thick, just to kind of give you a physical understanding of what we're looking at right here. So, at this point, Santa Anna, who was the general of the Mexican soldiers, had reached the Alamo on February of 1836. And he was really upset because he lost the San Antonio battle that we talked about previously. And he wanted to regain that territory at the Alamo, which was in San Antonio, Texas. So, moving forward, Texas defenders were ill equipped to fight. Looking at the numbers, which we're going to look up again here in the notes, but the numbers were pretty much looking at about, let's see, 180 soldiers um, to take on a couple thousand of Santa Anna's men. So there was only about 180 Texas soldiers that were all volunteers to kind of defend the Alamo against a larger army. So obviously not too well prepared. They were low on supplies and ammunition. They didn't have any medicine to care for anyone that was ill or wounded, and many had only blankets to protect themselves from the cold. So don't think that this is like a sheltered location. This is all open. People were sleeping exposed to the elements. So obviously that was a negative. And like the numbers below, it had only 187 men to fight against 6,000 Mexican troops under Santa Anna. So definitely not fair numbers wise. So William Travis commanded the Texas soldiers, and again, I remind you that most of them were volunteers. And volunteers inside included the famous frontiersmen Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie. So just giving you a little bit of information about these two men, because Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie, and William Travis were all known in history as incredibly brave leaders with the Alamo. So Davy Crockett was a congressman from Tennessee, and he decided to move to Texas before this the defeat or the I'm sorry, the Battle of the Alamo began. After he lost his seat in Congress, he decided to move to Texas. And then Jim Bowie was also known as like a very brave fighter, and William Travis, who was only 26-year-old at the time. So moving forward, yeah, all these men had a really like brave reputation, very honorable men in like history textbooks to go down. So several Tejano families, two Texas women, two male, and slaves were also present inside the Alamo. So to just kind of give you um, what's going on, how few people are inside against this army that's on the outside. So this common saying, victory or death, was said by William Travis. Um, February 23rd, 1836, obviously there's a couple lookouts that spotted the Mexican army of 6,000 soldiers followed by Santa Anna coming towards the Alamo. The first shots took the Mexicans by surprise, but William Travis had the soldiers place 3 to 4 rifles near them for quick firing. So, real quick before we move on, this next page is what William Travis sent to people to kind of appeal for aid, because obviously having only 186 soldiers and volunteers inside the Alamo was not exactly ideal. William Travis did appeal and write letters to others to kind of urge them to come help and assist, because they believed that defending the Alamo was an extreme movement towards the independence of Texas and their like the movement that they were trying to push to gain the independence and secede away from the Spanish and the Mexican army. So this letter went kind of like this. Fellow citizens and compatriots, I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the Mexicans under Santa Anna, and we do know that that number was 6,000. 6,000. I have sustained a continual bombardment for 24 hours and have not lost a man. The enemy have demanded a surrender. I have answered the demand with a cannon shot, and our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and of everything dear to the American character to come to our aid with all dispatch. The enemy are receiving reinforcements daily. If this call is neglected, I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his honor or that of his country, victory or death. William Barrett Travis. So, in the history textbooks, this is known as one of the most finest statements of courage in all of like historian or of many historical documents. So this letter actually has gone down to be pretty famous, and especially in the honor of those that live in Texas or like natives to Texas. This is obviously something that many people would recognize and look at fondly as like a brave document to kind of show their strength and posterity. So, about 60 men were able to sneak through, but no large scale force ever arrived. So, that aid that he did appeal for in that letter did not exactly come. But while the Spanish were coming up with sieges, there were 60 men outside the Alamo that were Texans that did believe in this movement and snuck into the Alamo to help defend. So, pretty quick notes today. We're going to talk about the final siege and then the independence of Texas as a state and then it joining the Union tomorrow. So for today, just make sure that you're working on that homework, that you are finishing those exit tickets and those bell ringers. And as always, email me if you have any questions. All right, guys, I will talk to you Wednesday.